Well, Evan's parents, sadly, are not the only parents whose son was taken hostage while working as a journalist. Diane Foley's son, James, was kidnapped and tragically killed by ISIS terrorists while working in the Middle East. And now she's made it her mission to raise awareness about U.S. hostages overseas and offer support to families going through the same pain. And Chris Costa knows what's at stake when it comes to try and bring our hostages home. As an Army intel officer and White House advisor who chaired the hostage response group, he's been hands-on with at least a dozen hostage cases in his tenure. He's now the executive director of the International Spy Museum. Diane and Chris join me now, and I want to point out, too, you two work together with the Foley Foundation, and I'm just honored to be a part of that and to learn about everything that both of you are doing. Diane, first of all, I want to get your reaction to that interview we just aired and Evan's parents fighting for his freedom. I know you did talk to Evan's mom early on. What did you tell her?
Well, I told her that he would come home because there's a light year of difference between the way we were treated, and Jim's case was totally ignored when he was taken in 2012. Our government made a choice, our administration, not to even deal with it. So it's light years ahead, thankfully, that President Biden is considering this a priority, meeting with the parents, them meeting with the Secretary of State. Gives me great hope that Evan and hopefully fellow American Paul Whelan and other Americans being held in Russia have hope for return. So it's a very hopeful message for me.
I love that, and you made it clear and told them he will come home. And Chris, I know in your gut you have the same feeling. We clearly don't know anything for sure, but why do you feel good about this one as well, Chris?
Well, Kira, it's great to see you, and it's a privilege to speak about these issues with Diane, because she has the moral authority to talk about these issues. She advocates for the families of hostages and presses the government to continue to work harder and smarter. The bottom line is I am optimistic. First of all, I'm optimistic because I believe Evan is upbeat, his sense of humor, his sense of hope that his family just imparted. But second of all, we know he is not a spy. We know that Evan was an accredited journalist. The Russians know that. So the Russians are looking for an opportunity. They're looking for some leverage, and it might be some kind of spy swap, even though to accentuate the point that Evan is nothing but a committed journalist. So all of that said, and in combination, I'm very optimistic that the hostage enterprise, the U.S. hostage enterprise, Ambassador Karsten's, the FBI's hostage response group, the entire enterprise is pressing not just to bring Evan home, but really there are 59 other cases that have to have the same level of commitment. It is tough business, but I am optimistic.
Diane, what do you think you didn't have at the time that your son was taken hostage that Evan's parents have? Because you've even pointed out this, you already see this as a very different situation. And do you think your advocacy has made a difference over the years?
I'm very hopeful, Kira, that this is part of Jim's legacy, that our government would recognize its moral need to help innocent Americans return home, that this is something our government needs to take very seriously. I mean, we currently have 59 public cases. We have cases like Austin Tice, another freelance journalist, Mark Swedan, held in China 10 years plus. We have folks in Iran held more than 5 long years. So this is an ongoing threat to our national security. And I am grateful that our country is starting to take this seriously, because it truly is a threat to all Americans who travel internationally.
And Diane, you talk about a moral need. But Chris, as you know, Evan has spent more than 100 days now in that Russian prison, accused of being a spy. You have worked these hostage cases. How do you get someone like Evan home and get him home alive? And is that moral need, when we're dealing with the government, really at play here? It seems it's even much more complicated than that?
Yeah, I'm completely confident that Evan's going to be brought home alive and whole, and he is going to recover very quickly. He will have the necessary care. The United States has figured out how to recover those who are wrongfully detained. Ambassador Carstens will likely be on an aircraft in one of the first Americans that Evan reconnects with. If there is some sort of swap, I don't know what's in the works, but I do know that the engines of the U.S. government, because of the advocacy of Diane and others in the lessons learned over the years, the engines of the government will come together and everybody will be working in tandem to recover Evan and bring him home to his loved ones and share continued lessons learned. But we are always reminded, for one success, there are others that we alluded to that are waiting for their loved ones. So you can never rest in that job. Roger Carstens can never rest because there are other hostages to get home. You can celebrate quickly, but you've got to get right back to work.
And Diane, now you and Chris working together within the foundation that you created. Is our government listening?
Our government's doing better. I did not mean to imply that it's ever easy to get anyone home, because hostage diplomacy is incredibly difficult. Captors are very shrewd and want to hold our government hostage. And now that it's primarily other state actors, 5 major actors, China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela, Syria, who are holding our people as political pawns, it is very complex and makes it very difficult because it interferes with our foreign policy, of course. So, but it has to do with us as a government prioritizing the return. We as an American people have to put this as a priority to bring innocent Americans home.
Diane Foley, Chris Costa, I have appreciated everything you've done in the past and what you continue to do. Thank you both so much for your time.
Thank you, Kira.
Thank you, Kira.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.